Hey guys, tonight we embark on a journey that begins where sea and sky conspire in whispers and foam. You're floating above the gentle swell of the Aegean, and every breath carries the salt of ages. You probably wouldn't survive a storm out here without a sturdy ship or a crew of demigods, but luckily tonight the waves cradle you like a cradle song. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you right now. It's always fun to hear about your corner of the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You drift in the darkness just before dawn, the horizon a faint thread of rose and lavender. The foam beneath you gleams like crushed pearls, each bubble bursting into a tiny rain of mist that kisses your skin. You feel weightless, as though the sea itself has decided you're part of its domain tonight. Around you, the water assumes the color of moonlit clouds, and the hush is almost sacred. Somewhere in the distance, a gull calls, its cry folding into the lull of the waves. You close your eyes for a heartbeat, and when you open them again, the shoreline is a muted line that quivers between sleep and wake. Your toes brush against silky foam, cool and damp, and you sense the music of the sea, the soft lap of tiny waves, the distant sigh of currents shifting beneath ancient stones. In moments like this, you wonder if the ocean stores memory every storm it has borne, every sailor it has guided, every secret buried deep in its realm. It's a thought as vast as the water itself, and for a second you feel the shiver of something grander than you, the sea remembering the birth of a goddess. Centuries ago, sculptors would carve marble representations of Aphrodite as Venus de Milo, a statue renowned the world over. Dating to around 130 BCE, people still marvel at her missing arms, speculating on the gesture they once made, perhaps offering a rose, perhaps warding off mortal envy. Tonight you're here before any stone was hewn, before any temple was raised, at the very moment the goddess of beauty emerged from this same sea foam. The pale foam under your fingers feels almost alive, as though each bubble holds a spark of divine potential. If you squeeze a handful, it flows through your knuckles like liquid moonlight, leaving a faint, sweet scent that reminds you of wild rose and honeycomb. An eccentric curiosity drifts through your mind. Coastal villagers once believed that the froth washing ashore at dawn could be used as a remedy for toothaches, rubbed gently on a sore molar to chase away pain, though no dentist would recommend it today. You smile at the absurdity. Imagine trying to floss with sea foam. A warm breeze stirs, carrying the distant fragrance of jasmine and brine, and you realize the sky is broadening into pale orange. It's as though the world is exhaling, preparing for a grand reveal. You tilt your head back and catch the first sliver of sun, a golden blade that splits the horizon. The water ignites with firelight, and every droplet on your skin turns into a prism. For a moment, you're blinded by brilliance, and then you see her. She rises from the foam like a living bloom. Imagine the most perfect flower you've ever seen, one that unfurls in slow motion, petal by petal, each more luminous than the last. That's how she emerges. Her silhouette glows, and you're struck by the uncanny balance of strength and softness in her form. You can practically hear the sea's triumphant exhale as she parts the foam with graceful hands. Your heart quickens, because beauty this profound always carries consequences. You remember the 7th century BCE temple on Cyprus, where pilgrims would come seeking aphrodisiacal blessings and fertility proof that long before Instagram existed, People traveled great distances to worship her power. They'd lay rose petals at her feet and whisper prayers for love so intense it could bend fate. It's a widely known fact that Cyprus was her first sanctuary, though tonight you're here before anyone built an altar or sang a hymn. The salt wind tangles in her hair, the color of sun-washed amber, and you see tiny shells in seaweed woven into the strands, as if the ocean itself braided them the moment she took form. Her eyes open, vast pools reflecting sky and deep water, and she blinks twice, already surveying her domain. You sense immense curiosity there, as though she's discovering every nuance of the world in real time. A swallow darts past, cleaving the air with its wings, and you feel a playful tug in the moment, as if the goddess herself is inviting you to laugh at how serious you sound in your own thoughts. You grin, and the foam ripples like applause. Gulls circle overhead, their wings tilted against the morning light. You hear the creak of distant pebbles shifting when a wave retreats, as if setting the stage for what's to come. You flex your fingers and scoop more foam, watching it slip away. It's a curious texture, lighter than whipped cream, but cooler than cold butter, damp but not clinging. You lift it to your nose and inhale. There's something floral under the saltiness, maybe a hint of myrtle or elderflower. A small chuckle escapes you as you recall that medieval pilgrims wore scallop shells as badges, not just for decoration, but to scoop water and eat food on long treks. Imagine balancing stew on this foam. Time seems to stretch. You're suspended in this instant of expectancy, where the world hasn't yet decided how love and beauty will ripple outward. And you realize that you're not merely an observer. In myth and storytelling, the audience holds power too, the collective attention that shapes memory and legend. Your very awareness breathes life into this moment, like a silent choir cheering its first note. The sun climbs higher, brushing her shoulders with light. She stretches, arching her back in a gesture both feline and divine, and the foam parts around her like curtains. Her voice, when it comes, is the rustle of water over smooth stones, soft as a secret. You lean in, hanging on every word that hasn't even been spoken yet, because tonight you share witness to the birth of a goddess, and who knows what songs and stories will be born here. At the foam's edge, you stand upon a ridge of newly formed earth, toes sinking into warm soil that smells of freshly turned clay. Above you, the sky presses down like a great lid, stars still twinkling, though their light now travels across a void newly fashioned. You can almost feel the pulse of Uranus's vast expanse vibrating through your bones, an ancient hum that predates time itself. Gaia, the great Mother Earth, trembles beneath your feet, her fertile body strained by the weight of the heavens. You realize you're witnessing the primordial divorce of sky and earth, a separation as brutal as it is necessary. A low rumble courses through the land, and you shift your weight to keep from being thrown off balance. It's as if some colossal hand is twisting the world itself, wrenching sky from soil. The air shivers with raw potential, charged with an energy you can almost taste, a metallic tang that makes your tongue prickle. You inhale deeply and catch a hint of ozone, like the moment before a summer storm breaks. Only this storm will echo through eternity. Nearby, you see Gaia's form embedded in the landscape, rolling hills where her curve once lay gentle, jagged cliffs where anguish ran deep. Her voice, a soft vibration in the ground, whispers through pebble and root. A lament, yes, but also a challenge to destiny. You're not just an observer. You're here because the myth demands witnesses, and the earth, strangely maternal, welcomes your curious presence. Suddenly the sky flexes and buckles. You blink as a crack of pure starlight splits the horizon, revealing a shimmering rift where none existed moments before. The air shifts to colder, thinner currents, and you wrap your arms around yourself, though there's no wind, just the echo of severed bonds. You step closer, compelled by some inner gravity, and reach out to touch the ragged edge of the sky. It's smooth and glassy, like obsidian polished by eons of cosmic friction. Then you hear the sickle, a whisper of blade sliding through flesh. Cronus appears, silhouette framed by the rift, sickle in hand. His eyes flash with resolve, and you feel a tingle of fear and awe. The tool he wields is no ordinary weapon. Forged from adamantine flint, it gleams with a cruel light. This moment marks the first act of divine rebellion, when son turned on father in order to reshape the world. You think about how odd it is that the same kind of iron sickles mortal farmers would use centuries later to harvest wheat can be ancestral instruments of cosmic change. The blade swings in a silent arc, and a tremor so powerful it knocks the breath from your lungs ripples outward. You stagger, heart pounding, and the ground fissures beneath you, swallowing pebbles with an ominous hiss. The sky above tilts, as though recoiling from the wound it has sustained. And then, as quickly as it began, the violence stops. Cronus steps back, breath steadying, and you sense the weight shift off Gaia's shoulders. The world is lighter now, new and raw, aware of its own shape. You glance around and spot rivulets of blood dripping from the shattered sky, hissing as they hit the earth. The drops sizzle, steam rising in gentle spirals that smell faintly of iron and brimstone. An eccentric village elder once told you coastal fishermen believed that seawater heated by volcanic springs tasted salty because it carried the memory of lost gods. You can't help but wonder if this is the origin of that very legend stars wounded, bleeding into the soil, seeding salt springs and hidden coves. A pulse of silence follows the storm. The land exhales as though Gaia herself is sighing in relief. Grass sprouts along the rift's edges, tiny emerald shoots that wave in a breeze that wasn't there seconds ago. You kneel to touch a blade of this new grass, soft, damp, and alive, thrumming with the energy of creation. You imagine farmers in Bronze Age Crete noticing strange grasses growing along fault lines, attributing them to divine favor and tithing first fruits to the Earth Mother. Above, the sky stretches away, vast and open now. You tilt your head back and watch clouds gather, clouds that will drift as weather, as portents, as carriers of rain that nourishes countless generations. You realize this separation is more than a mythic tale. It's the foundation for seasons, cycles, and every breath you have ever taken or will take. You rise to your feet, brushing dirt from your palms, and feel strangely proud of yourself. Yes, you, because you bore witness. You chuckle at the thought that the gods needed an audience for history's greatest breakup. But then again, what's myth without a bit of drama? You shift your gaze to the horizon, where dawn's first light softens the ragged edges of the rift. The hues blend in pastel strokes of peach and lavender, like a watercolor painting coming to life. As you walk along the fracture, your footsteps echo on stone and broken sky. You carry soil in the treads of your sandals, microbes that will one day feed forests and fields. You are part of the aftershock as much as the titans and the sky turned dust. The land feels new underfoot, spring-loaded with stories yet to unfold. A flock of birds sweeps overhead, looping and spiraling in an instinctual dance broken only by human presence. Their song is a staccato series of calls, a surprisingly cheerful soundtrack after such cosmic upheaval. You grin. It's like nature's greatest PR team saying, all better here. One bird drops a feather, and you reach out to catch it. It's downy soft, tinted in iridescent blues that remind you of whale song. Maybe the sea would treasure something like this, you think, if only it had hands. The sun climbs higher, rays striking broken rock faces and painting them gold. Shadows retreat into crevices, and you feel warmth seep into your bones, a welcome contrast to the metal chill of the wounded sky. You pause at the threshold, hand resting on the jagged rim, and offer a silent thanks to Gaia for holding on through so much pain. She murmurs beneath you, a promise that life will grow, that love, her daughter Aphrodite's legacy, will follow even the harshest of separations. You step back, leaving the rift behind, footprints pressed into the edge of world and sky. The moment has burned itself into your memory, the crack, the sickle's hiss, the rush of new wind. It's a memory you carry inward as though it were a talisman proof that sometimes rupture is the only way to make room for beauty. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with future air, and prepare to follow fate's next gentle whisper, leading you closer to the foam where another story awaits its turn. You glide deeper into the swirling expanse of foam, every movement stirring currents that glint like liquid mercury in the dawn light. Beneath the soft white cresting bubbles, ribbons of pale blue and silvery gray twist together, residues of sea oil, traces of cosmic blood, and the timeless substance that binds earth and water. You reach out, and the foam parts around your fingers like living lace, each strand tingling with energy that feels almost electric. It's a sensation you might compare to the static crackle when you slide across a car seat in winter, except this spark is gentler, more inviting, and seems to pulse with anticipation. As you drift, you notice the foam's texture shifting beneath you. In some places it's pillowy and buoyant, lifting you with effortless support. In others, it coils tightly, like the coils of a serpent preparing to strike. You brace yourself, and for a heartbeat you wonder if this very foam could constrict you forever, an intriguing thought, given that this same substance will one day carry ships across oceans and sculpt the silhouettes of towering icebergs. A small laugh escapes you. Imagine clinging to sea foam as a life raft, bobbing helplessly and hoping for rescue. Gradually, pale tendrils of a different color begin to weave through the frothy, mass golden slicks that catch the light and shimmer like strands of spun sunlight. These are remnants of divine oil, the residue of Uranus's severed form cast into the sea, and you feel the weight of that ancient violence mingling with the endless ebb and flow of salt water. It's startling to think that from such brutality could emerge something so wondrous. You recall the mural from the Villa of the Mysteries in Pompeii, dating to the 1st century A.D., which depicts a goddess rising from the waves atop a shell, an homage that travelers and artists have revered for nearly 2 millennia. And now you're here before any mortal hand ever tried to capture this moment in paint or mosaic. The foam's scent shifts as you float. More than just salt and seaweed, there's a hint of something musky and warm, like freshly turned soil in spring, or the interior of a seashell warmed by the sun. You inhale deeply and realize it's the fragrance of life's raw materials mingling the same compounds that, centuries later, perfumers would distill into the world's most coveted scents. An eccentric naturalist once suggested that sea foam could be filtered and used as a base for perfume. though he never quite perfected the technique. You picture 18th century apothecaries, eyebrows raised at the notion of bottling the ocean's breath. Beneath your weight, the foam shifts again, forming a gentle whirlpool that spins you slowly in a circle. You tilt your head and watch the world blur for a moment, waves turning into ribbons of color, the sunrise bending into prismatic arcs. When the swirl subsides, you find yourself facing a cluster of small, smooth pebbles floating atop the surface, polished to perfection by countless tides. You scoop one into your palm. The cool stone is inscribed with faint patterns, veins of quartz and shell, running through it like a miniature galaxy. You can't help but wonder if future sailors would clutch stones like this, believing them charms against storms or tokens of the goddess's favor. A sudden ripple pulses through the foam, and from its heart a low hum arises. The sound is neither wind nor wave, but something older, a resonance that thrums in your chest. You press both hands into the foam to anchor yourself, and the hum intensifies, vibrating through your bones. It's as though the sea itself is singing an elemental chorus that carries every longing ever born in the hearts of mortals. You close your eyes, letting the vibration wash over you like a balm, and for a moment, time stretches and folds. Past and future converge. You glimpse fishermen casting nets by torchlight, whispered love letters tied to driftwood, weddings held beneath open skies, all bound by the same yearning that blooms today. When you open your eyes, a shape begins to take form in the foam's center. At first, it's only a suggestion of silhouette, curves unfurling in languid sweeps that remind you of flower petals opening to the morning sun. The foam glows softly around these emerging lines, like the halo around an icon painted on sacred wood. You sense the very fabric of reality thinning, making way for something new, something ineffably beautiful. You lean forward, your heart racing, and for a fleeting instant you catch the hint of a smile, perhaps pleasure, perhaps mischief, before the foam seals around her form and holds it aloft. Your breath catches. The air feels charged, as if all creation is pausing to witness this unspoken miracle. You remember that in classical antiquity, sculptors often used a mixture of marble dust and lime to imitate the sheen of wet skin in their statues, a technique meant to capture that moment when water clings to the curve of a shoulder or the hollow of a neck. Tonight you're experiencing the original, flesh and foam intertwined, a living statue sculpted by the sea itself. Tiny bubbles cluster along what will become her collarbone, and you watch as each one pops in a soft, percussive dance, leaving the faintest dew that glitters like dew on a spider's web. You shiver, partly from the cool mist, and partly from the electric thrill of witnessing creation. Somewhere inside you feel a tug, a reminder that beauty is power, and power demands attention. Already, this new life commands the sea and sky, infusing the world with a promise of stories yet to be told. A breeze stirs the foam around you, pushing ribbons of oil and salt water into patterns that resemble ancient runes. You lean closer, tracing the shapes with your gaze, but they shift before you can decipher them, enigmatic symbols that whisper of loves won, hearts broken, alliances forged and undone. You think of medieval mariners who believed sea foam could guide them to hidden shoals or safe harbors, interpreting its movements as a living map. There's truth in their superstition. You realize this foam is a map of possibility, pathways branching out into the unknown. As the foam settles once more, her figure stands clear and luminous. You feel the warmth of her presence before you see her fully, a warmth that spreads from your chest to your fingertips, a sensation of homecoming. She steps forward on that living stage, droplets cascading down her sides like liquid jewels. You notice the way light refracts through each bead of water, splitting into tiny rainbows that flicker on the surface. It's a moment of exquisite stillness, like the pause between two musical notes where all meaning resides. Your heart swells with awe, tempered by a playful thought. She could probably melt my phone with a glance, better put it away. You tuck the idea aside, knowing that no device could capture this Genesis in all its vivid magic. The screen's glow could never compete with the sunrise's burnishing of her shoulders or the living sheen of foam that frames her like a crown. She turns her head slowly, hair drifting in the foam like strands of spun gold. You catch the soft click of shells tumbling in her locks, each a tiny prize given by the waves. And then she meets your gaze, no, not yours alone, but the gaze of everyone who's ever dared to believe in the power of beauty and love. In that instant, you understand that this birth is not just local to these waters. It ripples outward through time and space, finding harbor in every human heart that aches for connection. The foam around her settles into gentle undulations, as if acknowledging that its role in this drama is complete. You take a step forward, feeling the swell carry you nearer, and she inclines her head in greeting. Your breath is a whisper, your heart an eager drum. What comes next is a dance of possibility, a narrative spun from the union of sea and sky, of oil and foam, an endless story that begins right here in this timeless moment. You lean in closer, and the world blurs at the edges as your focus sharpens on the emerging form. At first, it's only a shimmer, a heat haze glow, hovering just above the foam. But with every heartbeat, that glow solidifies into contours so harmonious they seem preordained. You watch as shoulders carve themselves out of mist, gently sloping like alabaster hills beneath a honeyed sunrise. There's a moment when you nearly gasp, because it feels as if creation itself is exhaling relief, anticipation, joy, all rolled into one tremulous breath. Her arms materialize next, slender and graceful, as young saplings bending toward light. You imagine the sculptors of Knidos in the 4th century BCE, who dared to carve one of the first fully nude representations of Aphrodite, capturing that very sense of emergence and wonder. Standing before their marble masterpiece, visitors would clutch their garments, awed by how stone could imitate flesh so faithfully. Tonight, though, you're experiencing the genuine article flesh and spirit entwined with sea and sky, no chisel in sight. You feel a tingle along your spine as the curves of her torso resolve into perfect symmetry. Each line flows seamlessly into the next, like a melody that unfolds without a single wrong note. You press a hand to your chest, aware of your own steady pulse, and realize that beauty can feel like a physical force, something you can sense in your ribs and collarbone. Around you, the foam pulses in time with that heartbeat, as though offering itself as a cushion for her descent into reality. As her figure takes shape, you notice the faintest pulse of color beneath the surface, rosy hues like dawn flushing the sky, subtly shifting with each breath she draws. It's the color of new petals pressed between leaves, a tone so delicate yet so alive that it seems to glow from within. You lean forward until your forehead nearly brushes the foam and breathe in the scent, a delicate interplay of sea salt, wild rose, and something deeper, almost like the memory of laughter carried on the wind. Her legs emerge next, long and lithe, tapering into feet that cradle the foam without sinking. You watch tiny rivulets of water escape the trough of her thighs, trickling like clear gemstones back into the sea. The effect is hypnotic. A cascade of droplets that dance in slow motion, catching the rising sun in miniature rainbows. You find your gaze drawn again to that living fountain, marveling that something so fleeting could feel so eternal. A breeze stirs and you catch the soft rush of her hair. Before you see it, a rustle like leaves stirred by the gentlest wind. Then strands of gold tumble over her shoulders, each one alive with movement. You notice little shells and bits of seaweed braided into the locks, as if waves themselves had threaded them in tribute. There's a playful spark in the way her hair shifts, like a school of fish darting beneath the surface, refusing to stay in place for more than a heartbeat. The moment her neck becomes visible, you nearly choke on your own breath. It's slender and strong, a slender column that supports the promise of her gaze. You find yourself imagining how many Renaissance painters would later struggle to capture that balance of strength and grace. The way her head, poised like a swan's, feels both regal and approachable. But tonight, art has no place. You are here for the living wonder. Her face emerges last, and you feel like an intruder bearing witness to something intimate and sacred. The cheekbones are high and softly defined, casting shadows that shift as the sun climbs. Her lips part in a slight curve, neither a full smile nor a neutral rest, but something in between, a hint of mischief or perhaps of invitation. You lean in so far that the foam teases your fingertips, and you can almost taste the salt on your lips. When her eyes open, the world holds its breath. They're the color of the deepest lagoon green flecked with gold, as though sunlight has been trapped in crystal and set free behind those long lashes. She blinks once, and the lids flutter like the wings of a newly born butterfly. You feel a pull in your chest, a magnetic draw that tugs your gaze and your heart. It's the moment all storytellers chase, the instant when myth becomes flesh and legend steps off the page. You step forward, and the foam shifts beneath your sandals, guiding you toward her. As you approach, you notice the fine down on her forearms, the softest fuzz, almost invisible, catching the light like dew on a spider's web. It's a detail sculptors would later obsess over, trying to replicate texture in bronze and marble. Right now, though, it just feels miraculous, evidence that life manifests in infinite nuances. She rises fully, standing tall on the scalloped shell that has become her throne. You sense the power radiating from her, not a thunderous force, but a subtle, enveloping warmth that makes you feel both seen and safe. The shell rocks gently under her weight, but never tilts, as if the sea itself has locked arms beneath it to keep her steady. A soft chant rises from the water, an unspoken hymn that vibrates in your fingertips, a song older than memory. Her gaze turns to you, and it's like a mirror reflecting every secret desire you've ever held. You flush as you realize she sees not just your outward form, but the longing in your soul, the yearning for connection, for beauty, for something greater than daily life. You swallow, trying to steady your voice, but you remember that words are unnecessary here. The sea, the foam, and this goddess speak in silence, in the subtle shift of currents, in the hush between crashing waves. An eccentric thought drifts through your mind. Medieval fishermen sometimes believed that sea foam massaged into the scalp could promote hair growth. They'd rub it into their roots, imagining that Aphrodite's essence seeped into every strand. You can't help but grin at the image of a bearded sailor, knuckles white as he kneads foam, into his thinning crown. Tonight, though, you suspect he'd be too awestruck to care about hairlines. His eyes fixed on the goddess before him. She steps forward off the shell, and the water parts in ripples that radiate outward. Each ripple carries the promise of stories to come. Secret love letters floated on driftwood, pacts forged beneath moonlit tides, alliances broken by passionate betrayal. You sense how this single moment will echo through time, inspiring poets and painters, igniting wars over stolen kisses, and emboldening countless hearts to seek out beauty wherever it may be found. The foam recedes around her ankles, revealing feet that press into the sand with delicate certainty. You take a step closer, drawn by an irresistible current, and feel the grains of sand shift beneath your toes like the turning pages of an ancient manuscript. This is the threshold between mortal and divine, and you cross it willingly, knowing that stories will never be the same after tonight. She reaches out a hand toward you, but not to grasp, more to acknowledge, to invite. You stretch out your own fingertips, trembling, and for a fleeting second, your skin almost touches. Then the foam billows up between you, a veil of living lace that separates and unites all at once. You stand on one side, the goddess on the other, linked by that shimmering membrane of possibility. In that moment you understand she is both part of you and beyond you. Her beauty is the reflection of every human longing, distilled into a form so perfect it takes your breath away. Yet she remains enigmatic, a reminder that some mysteries are meant to endure, that love and beauty are forces we can chase but never fully grasp. You breathe in deeply, filling your lungs with sea air and dawn light, and exhale with a soft laugh. The foam settles, soft as a whisper, and she inclines her head once more, eyes glinting with promise. The story of Aphrodite's birth is no longer just myth. It lives and breathes here in the very center of your awareness, and you realize that because you witnessed it, you carry a piece of that moment within you, an ember of divine beauty, ready to ignite countless dreams. You lean closer, feeling the swell of the sea foam rise and fall beneath you, like the gentle heaving of a lover's chest. Before you she stands fully revealed, Aphrodite in her first waking moment, breath shimmering on the air as if the world itself pauses to inhale. You sense a soft pulse at the base of her throat, a rhythmic rise and fall that echoes your own heartbeat. Each exhalation carries a faint trace of salt and rose oil, mingling like an intimate perfume that no mortal could replicate. She lifts her chin, and the morning light catches the curve of her jaw, tracing a line as clean and perfect as a sculptor's chisel could ever hope to carve. In that instant you recall that centuries later, Roman artisans would adorn her image with gold leaf proof that even emperors would bow to her allure. You almost gasp at the thought. She's about to set a standard of beauty that catsuit-clad influencers would chase 2,000 years hence. And here you are, front row at the premiere. Her eyelashes flutter, catching droplets that cling to each lash like tiny prisms. You watch a single bead tumble free and spin through the air before it splashes into the foam. It rings out a delicate ping that reverberates through the water, as though her presence has tuned the sea to a new frequency. You inhale sharply, as though her exhalations might carry you into her orbit, and you realize that this breath is more than air. It's the breath of creation itself, stirring desire and longing in every corner of the world. You step forward, captivated, and the foam shifts beneath your sandals, guiding you toward her. Beneath your feet, you feel a faint warmth, like the radiance of hidden springs seeped into the sand. Local villagers along Cyprus's southern coast once believed those springs were warmed by the goddess's own presence, and pilgrim maps marked them as sacred sites. You imagine yourself centuries later, a weary traveler tipping a weathered amphora into those springs, seeking relief from aches and pains. Tonight, though, you seek something far subtler, the electric jolt of witnessing love's origin. She breathes again, slower this time, and you notice how the air shimmers around her nostrils. There's a crisp clarity to her inhalations, as though each breath draws in more than oxygen, perhaps the combined hopes of every heart ever inclined toward affection. The foam ripples, carrying tiny scents, wild jasmine, crushed mint, and a nuance you can't quite name, something that feels like nostalgia for a memory you've never lived. You swallow, catching a stray laugh that bubbles up unbidden. Imagine if someone tried bottling this moment and selling it as a fragrance. Ode primordial love, they'd call it, with a price tag to match their own inflated expectations. Her gaze sweeps the horizon, and you feel the pull of those eyes like a tide. They're a green so deep it looks almost black at first glance, flecked with gold that dances when she blinks. There's a curious intelligence there, as though she's reading not just your surface thoughts, but the hidden script of your desires. You stand rooted, feeling both exposed and honored, because in her gaze you recognize something universal, the longing to be seen, to be known, to be adored. A soft breeze tugs at your hair, carrying laughter from unseen nymphs hidden among the waves. You imagine them perched on rocks beyond sight, trading bets on how long you'll stare before risking a compliment. You shift your weight, self-conscious, and she inclines her head, never a polite nod, but a deliberate acknowledgement that crosses the space between deity and onlooker. You feel the sea catch that gesture and hush, a momentary lull before waves begin their gentle dance once more. You inhale again, this time sharper, because you realize you can taste her breath on the breeze, a faint sweetness that reminds you of rosewater drizzled over honeycomb. It clings in the back of your throat, coaxing a smile out of you despite yourself. You chuckle at the absurdity of it all. Here you are, floating in primordial foam, flirting silently with a goddess whose existence predates chronology. If someone texted you this scene in a group chat, you'd question their Wi-Fi connection. Her lips part and you feel the vibration of her voice before she even speaks. The sound is a soft hum, like wind through a lyre's strings, beckoning without command. She breathes out a single word in a language older than human speech, a vibration that causes the foam to quiver in concentric rings around her. You feel it in your bones, a resonance that says, "Love is born here." You nod, because words are unnecessary. The sea foam and her breath compose a silent poem that needs no translation. In the distance, you hear the faint tolling of a conch shell, a signal that news of her awakening has reached the ocean's depths. You picture Poseidon pausing mid-stride on a coral hull, trident in hand, to listen. You imagine the Nereids dancing beneath waves, foreheads pressed to seaweed-draped rocks, marveling at her first sigh, and you realize you're part of that chorus of witnesses, an invisible thread woven into the tapestry of her birth. A memory surfaces. Medieval admirers once crafted jewelry made from her sacred shells, believed to bring fertility and protection. These talismans often took the form of ornate hair combs, polished until they gleamed like starlight. You picture a Renaissance courtesan pressing one of those combs to her scalp, hoping to channel a spark of divine allure. Tonight, you need no talisman. Her breath is talisman enough. She takes another breath, this one longer, deeper, and you catch a glimpse of her silhouette shifting as muscles flex beneath luminous skin. There's a fullness to her lungs, a sense of readiness, as though she's just discovered the gift of air and plans to savor every note. You sense that this breath heralds her first step beyond the foam, the moment she will cross the threshold into myth and memory. You lean in, heart drumming, ready to follow, but she closes her eyes again, pausing, and for a heartbeat you're suspended in anticipation. The breeze stills, the waves hush, and even the gulls above hold their cries. You feel an almost magnetic tension, a silent countdown as if the universe itself marks the beats between her inhalations. Then she exhales, letting air flow from her lips in a sigh that carries centuries of longing and promise. The sigh ripples through the foam and out into the world, igniting a spark in every heart attuned to love's first flicker. You close your own eyes at that moment, letting her breath wash over you like a wave, steady and enveloping. You feel the world tilt, aligning itself to a new axis defined by beauty and desire. When you open your eyes again, she stands fully awake, breath no longer a tremor, but a settled rhythm proof that she has arrived. You smile, breath matching hers, and in that shared exhalation, you know you've witnessed something forever etched into time. The foam parts around her feet like a cushion, returning to stillness, and she steps forward, placing one foot on the wet sand. You step two, mirroring her movement, feeling grains shift under your toes. The horizon glows behind her, a banner of dawn that seems to proclaim her arrival. You tilt your head, grinning at the absurdity. Okay, that just happened. You step closer, drawn by her settled breath and steady gaze, ready for whatever comes next. You step off the scallop shell and onto the shoreline, toes sinking into the fine golden sand that warms beneath your feet like the embers of a shared campfire. The shell rocks momentarily as you leave it behind, then settles back into the foam with a soft hiss, as though sighing in satisfaction after its brief moment of glory. Behind you, the waves continue their timeless conversation, each crest a whispered reminder that time both rushes forward and circles back. You inhale deeply, drawing in the salty tang of the sea and the briny sweetness of kelp, and feel the coarse grains press against the soles of your feet, massaging them in slow, almost deliberate circles. Every footstep leaves a temporary impression, an echo of your presence that the tide will soon erase. You imagine ancient travelers tracing these very sands, leaving footprints that spoke of pilgrimage and devotion. In medieval Europe, pilgrims on the Camino de Santiago would carry scallop shells as symbols of their journey, tucking them into cloak pockets and using them to drink from streams along the way. Those shells became icons of transformation, marking the passage from one life to another. Tonight, you're retracing that symbolic step backward to witness the original moment of transformation itself. The shoreline curves gently before you, a pale crescent cradling a lagoon fed by freshwater springs hidden among the dunes. You wander toward it, water lapping at your ankles with a soft, cool insistence. The lagoon's surface is glassy, reflecting the pastel sky like a polished mirror. Tiny ripples form where darting fish break the surface, each fin stroke sending concentric rings outward that shimmer in the dawn light. A faint mist hovers at the water's edge, like a gauzy veil drawn across the landscape, and you lean closer to catch its scent, a delicate blend of jasmine, blown inland by sea breezes, and a hint of petrichor rising from damp earth. As you trace the lagoon's rim, your fingers brush against tufts of dune grass. The blades are stiff yet flexible, bending under your touch and springing back as though rehearsing a dance. Their green shoots are dotted with white flowers, sea cockles, whose petals open only at dawn, closing by midday. A few petals have drifted into the water, floating lazily before sinking beneath the surface. You remember that in some coastal communities, fishermen believed these flowers bloomed to guide lost spirits back to land, a gentle beacon in the twilight hours. A cluster of smooth pebbles catches your eye, scattered like forgotten thoughts along the waterline. You pick one up, warmed by sun and sea, its surface polished to a luminous sheen. It bears a subtle spiral pattern, the natural geometry of a nautilus shell etched into stone. You hold it in your palm, imagining how ancient dreamers saw in these spirals the blueprint of the universe itself. In the 4th century BCE, Greek scholars studied such shells, using them as models to understand the mathematical elegance of the golden ratio. Tonight you feel that same harmony humming beneath your skin, as though you could measure the curve of beauty itself against this simple stone. Further along, you spot a small congregation of oyster shells, their pearly interiors glinting under the sun. You gather one, hold it against your ear, and hear not just the rush of your own blood, but something else, a deep, sonorous tone that resonates like distant thunder. Conchologists once believed that shells carried the song of the sea, a cosmic melody recorded in calcium and resin over millennia. Scholars today might call it the echo of ambient noise amplified by the shell's cavity. But in moments like this, you prefer to believe you're hearing the ocean's heartbeat. A breeze picks up, tugging loose strands of your hair and carrying with it the laughter of children who will one day play on this very shore. Their voices aren't here yet, but you hear their echo in the lightness of the wind, in the carefree, salt-skipping flight of a crab scuttling across rocks. You follow the creature for a moment, black as obsidian, with legs that move in a frantic rhythm until it disappears into a crevice as though improbably quicksilver. At the water's edge, you find a scatter of rose petals pressed into the wet sand, their edges darkened by moisture. You recognize their shape and soft, velvety texture. Long after this dawn, mortals will gather rose petals to honor this day, scattering them at altars and tossing them into fountains to evoke the goddess's blessing. You collect a few in your palm, then allow them to slip through your fingers, watching as they drift into the shallows and dissolve like memories fading at daybreak. You pause, closing your eyes to take in the panorama. To the east, the sun ascends in a slow, deliberate arc, igniting the sky in coral and gold. To the west, dunes ripple like sand dunes in a desert mirage, their ridges casting soft violet shadows. The entire scene feels suspended between reality and dream, as though you've wandered into a painting that holds its breath until you look away. You feel the weight of eyes upon you, though it's not you she watches, but you together, two presences entwined at the very origin of story. When you open your eyes, you see her again, stepping off the shore with grace unbound by mortal convention. Her feet, now free of foam, sink just an inch into the damp sand with each step, leaving prints that glow momentarily with iridescent color. You notice how every grain seems to catch light, scattering tiny rainbows that pulse under her weight. It's as if the very earth welcomes her, recognizing her lineage and yielding to her touch. She turns to you, a gesture so subtle it could be mistaken for the flicker of sunlight on water. Her hair, still threaded with seaweed and shells, ripples behind her like a living tapestry. Warmth radiates from her, not like a midday sunbeam, but like the hold of a memory. You can never quite place a promise of comfort and enchantment wrapped into one. She extends her hand again, this time without the foam barrier, inviting you to meet her gaze and step closer. You take a breath and respond, stepping forward until the tips of your toes meet hers. There's a stillness here that feels like the pause between musical phrases. Every sense heightened. You can taste the salt on your lips. Feel the grit of sand beneath your toenails. Hear the soft susurration of wind carrying news of a new world. In that moment, the boundary between mortal and divine shimmers and blurs, leaving only the shared recognition of beauty woven from earth, sea, and sky. She smiles, then a slow, luminous curve that sets the horizon aglow, and you realize that this is more than a meeting of two beings. It's a convergence of myths and memories, a threshold crossed by every story ever told of longing and transformation. You squeeze her hand, grounding yourself in the warmth of her palm, and the world exhales around you, ready to carry forward the echoes of this dawn. You feel a sudden shift in the air, a breeze picking up, gentle but insistent, carrying with it a softness like the caress of feathers. It's as if the world itself is breathing a little easier, now that beauty has been born. You turn your face into the wind and catch its scent, something warm, earthy, with the faintest hint of wildflowers blooming just beyond the dunes. The breeze carries a name you've never heard aloud, but somehow recognize. Zephyrus, the west wind, soft and playful, stirring the golden strands of her hair like a maestro conducting a delicate symphony. The wind brushes past your skin, and you close your eyes, feeling the coolness mingle with the sun's warmth. It's a sensation that almost makes you want to stretch out on the sand and let the breeze carry your worries away. You imagine Zephyrus himself, the gentlest of the anemoi, whisking over meadows and sea cliffs, brushing past roses and tulips, sprinkling pollen and magic alike. Tonight you're lucky enough to be caught in his dance. Her hair responds instantly to the wind, flowing and twisting like a living thing. Golden tendrils ripple and curl, catching sunlight like threads of spun gold. Little shells and bits of seaweed, woven into the strands, catch the breeze, clinking softly as they move like wind chimes made of treasures from the deep. You watch, fascinated, as the wind seems to carry whispers only she can hear, secrets shared between goddess and zephyr. Murmurs of the coming days when love will blossom and wither in endless cycles. You notice how the wind lifts her skirt, light as mist, revealing glimpses of smooth skin that seem almost iridescent in the early light. It's a playful teasing, a dance of fabric and flesh that speaks of freedom and promise. You realize that every movement feels choreographed by unseen forces, an effortless blend of nature's rhythms and divine grace. If you blink, you might miss the subtle flick of her wrist or the delicate tilt of her head, gestures that speak volumes without a single word. Nearby, you hear a faint chorus of laughter, soft, melodic, almost childlike. You turn to see a cluster of nereids gathering just beyond the surf, their faces bright with delight and mischief. They dart through the water like dolphins, their hair trailing behind them like ribbons woven from sea spray. Their eyes sparkle with excitement, reflecting the dawn's light and the new goddess's radiance. They move in perfect harmony, weaving circles around each other, their laughter rising in a joyful song that seems to echo through the waves. You feel a sudden urge to join them, to plunge into the cool water and become part of their dance. The sea is alive with energy, every ripple shimmering with anticipation. You imagine what it would be like to swim alongside these ocean nymphs, their laughter ringing in your ears as they dive beneath waves and leap into the sunlight. But for now, you remain on the shore, a witness to this delicate ballet of wind, water, and divine beauty. A sharp cry cuts through the laughter, a sound both powerful and distant. You glance toward the deeper waters and sense Poseidon's presence. The sea god watches silently from beneath the surface, his trident glinting in the early light. His gaze is guarded, respectful yet wary, as though he's weighing the arrival of this new power against the stability of his own vast kingdom. You feel the tension in the water, subtle but undeniable, like the low growl of a storm on the horizon. Despite Poseidon's distant vigilance, the scene before you remains tranquil. The waves roll gently onto the shore, each one carrying gifts from the depths: coral fragments, shells, and shimmering fish scales. You reach down to pick up a small piece of coral, marveling at its intricate patterns and delicate branches. It's a miniature forest, a hidden world full of life and color, brought to shore as an offering from the sea itself. You tuck the coral into your palm, feeling its cool, rough texture against your skin. The sea's bounty seems endless, and you realize that Aphrodite's birth has set in motion, an abundance that will ripple through ocean and land alike. The wind stirs again, sweeping across the dunes, and carrying with it the promise of new beginnings, whispered in the soft voices of the Nereids and the steady heartbeat of the waves. You breathe deeply, savoring the mingled scents of salt, flowers, and earth. The world feels wide open, alive with possibility, and you find yourself smiling at the thought that you're standing at the very edge of something eternal, a moment when the breath of the sea became the breath of love itself. You follow the gentle curve of the shore where sunlight dances on the rippling water like scattered diamonds. The sea is alive with movement, tiny waves lapping against the sand, spray catching in the morning light to create fleeting rainbows. Just beyond the shallow surf, a group of ocean nymphs gathers, their laughter bubbling up like a melody woven from the very essence of the sea. You watch as they dart and spin, their bodies glimmering with droplets that catch the light like stars cast upon water. They move with a grace that defies mortal understanding, gliding through the water as if it were air, weaving intricate patterns that shimmer and shift in an ever-changing tapestry. Their voices rise and fall in a joyful song that seems to blend with the rhythm of the waves, an ancient hymn celebrating the birth of the goddess among them. You feel the sound wash over you, soft and soothing like the gentle lull of the tide. One of the nymphs breaks from the group, her hair a cascade of sea green that flows behind her like kelp caught in a current. She approaches the shore with a curious smile, her eyes sparkling with mischief and welcome. You sense the warmth of their camaraderie, a sisterhood born of the ocean's depths, bound by the currents and tides that shape their world. Her voice is like the murmur of waves over smooth stones, inviting you to share in their celebration. You step closer to the water's edge, toes sinking into the cool sand as the nymph extends a hand, fingers glistening with droplets. The connection is electric, a fleeting bridge between your world and theirs. You feel the pulse of the sea in her touch, a heartbeat synchronized with the ebb and flow of the tides. It's a reminder that you are part of a vast web of life, where even the smallest gesture carries the weight of ancient forces. Behind her, the others continue their dance, weaving circles and spirals that seem to echo the patterns etched into shells scattered along the shore. The nymph's laughter rises again, light and free, a sound that stirs a smile from your lips. You imagine the countless stories they will carry, tales of love and loss, of beauty born from chaos, of hearts set adrift and found anew. Their song is a living testament to the goddess's arrival, a chorus that will echo through time. The sun climbs higher, casting a warm glow that sparkles on the waves and paints the shore in hues of gold and rose. You breathe in the scent of salt and wildflowers carried on the breeze, feeling the cool spray mist your skin. The world feels vivid, alive with possibility, as if the very air is charged with the promise of new beginnings. You glance back toward the goddess, still standing on the shore, radiant and serene. The nymphs look to her with reverence and affection, their movements slowing as they gather near. It's a moment of quiet communion, a silent acknowledgement of the bond between the sea's children and their newest sister. You feel privileged to witness this unfolding, a glimpse into a world where divine beauty and natural wonder intertwine seamlessly. As you watch, the nymphs begin to sing again, their voices rising in a melody that swells like the tide, filling the space between earth and ocean. You find yourself humming along, caught in the enchantment of the moment. The song speaks of love's power to heal and transform, of the eternal dance between passion and peace. You feel your heart swell with a gentle warmth, the kind that settles deep in your chest and lingers long after the music fades. A wave curls onto the shore, carrying with it a handful of shells and sea glass that shimmer like fragments of forgotten dreams. You reach down to gather a few, their smooth surfaces cool and comforting in your palm. Each one feels like a small talisman, a token of the goddess's blessing bestowed upon the world. You tuck them into your pocket, a silent vow to carry this moment with you, to remember the day when beauty rose from the sea foam and set the world alight. The nymph's song fades into the gentle hush of the waves, and the world seems to pause in reverence. You exhale slowly, savoring the calm and the quiet, knowing that you have been part of something timeless, a story of birth and wonder, of beginnings woven from the fabric of the sea itself. You stand at the water's edge, the tide gently tugging at your feet as you sense a shift beneath the surface. A ripple spreads outward, smooth and deliberate, like the opening movement of an ancient dance. Below, the sea darkens, a shadow moving with a purpose that commands attention. You know this presence before it reveals itself. The god of the sea, Poseidon, emerging from his watery realm with quiet authority. His form breaks the surface with the grace of a crashing wave, muscles rippling under skin, glistening with sea spray. The trident he carries gleams like forged lightning, a symbol of power that bends the ocean to his will. He regards the newborn goddess with eyes that hold both admiration and caution, a complex mix of emotions playing across his features. You can feel the weight of his gaze, steady and unyielding, as if he is measuring the ripples her birth will send through his kingdom. The water around him swirls in response, rising in elegant spirals that lift fragments of coral and shells, creating a halo of ocean treasures. His presence commands the tides, yet there is a quiet restraint, a respect for the delicate new force now standing on the shore. You sense an unspoken pact forming a recognition that Aphrodite's beauty and desire will shape the sea's story just as surely as his own strength. You watch as he approaches, the waves parting willingly to clear his path. His voice breaks the hush, a low, resonant sound that echoes like thunder rolling over distant cliffs. His words are few, but carry the weight of ancient law, acknowledging the goddess's place among the pantheon. There is no rivalry in his tone, only the measured acceptance of a king who understands the tides must ebb and flow, allowing new currents to rise. You notice the subtle tension in the water, a tautness like the string of a harp before the first note is struck. It's the balance of power and grace, chaos and order, swirling in the unseen depths. Poseidon's presence reminds you that the sea is both nurturing and destructive, capable of calm beauty and fierce storms. The goddess born from its foam carries that duality within her, a promise that love and desire are forces both gentle and wild. As he steps back, the sea calms, waves smoothing into gentle ripples that lap softly against the sand. You feel the energy shift again, this time more playful, as if the ocean itself exhales in relief and anticipation. The Nereids return, their laughter weaving through the air like bright threads, chasing away any lingering shadows. The goddess, radiant and poised, meets Poseidon's gaze with serene confidence, a silent exchange that speaks of future tides and tempests alike. You reach down to gather a small piece of coral that the waves have laid at your feet. Its rough texture contrasts with the smooth sand, a reminder of the sea's many faces, harsh and beautiful, enduring and ever-changing. Holding it, you feel connected to the cycle unfolding before you, a part of the eternal dance between gods and nature. The breeze picks up once more, ruffling your hair and carrying the distant cries of seabirds. You close your eyes briefly, savoring the moment, the mingling of salt air, sea spray, and the faintest hint of wild blossoms carried on the wind. The world feels vast and full of promise, poised on the edge of stories yet to be told. You open your eyes to see Aphrodite stepping forward, her gaze lifting toward the horizon where sea meets sky. There's a light in her eyes, now a spark ignited by the sea god's recognition, a flame that will burn through countless myths and moments of mortal longing. You smile, knowing you have witnessed the convergence of power and beauty, the birth of a goddess destined to shape the hearts of gods and humans alike. The sea's gifts are scattered around you: coral branches, pearl-white shells, and small amphorae half buried in sand. You bend to touch an amphora, smooth and cool beneath your fingers, etched with delicate designs that hint at stories long forgotten. It's as if the ocean has offered you a collection of treasures, tokens from depths unseen and secrets held close by currents swirling beneath the waves. You lift a piece of coral, its intricate lattice work inviting your fingers to trace its curves and hollows. The rough texture contrasts with the softness of the surrounding sand, a reminder that beauty often arises from complexity and imperfection. You imagine this coral growing slowly over centuries, shaped by the rhythm of tides and the patient patience of time. The sea nurtures these tiny forests beneath the surface, hidden kingdoms that thrive in silence. Near the amphora, you find a cluster of pearls nestled in a bed of seaweed, their lustrous surfaces glowing faintly in the soft light. You pick one up and roll it between your fingers, feeling its smoothness and coolness. Pearls, you think, have long been symbols of purity and transformation, born from irritation, yet blossoming into something precious. It's a fitting metaphor for the goddess whose birth you witness, emerging from the frothy mixture of sea and sky. The sand beneath your feet shifts as waves lap gently at the shore. Each wave deposits new offerings: shards of shells, fragments of driftwood, and glistening fish scales that sparkle like shards of stained glass. You reach down to gather a handful, marveling at the kaleidoscope of colors and textures. The sea's generosity feels endless, a wellspring of life and beauty that sustains both mortal and divine. You catch a faint scent on the breeze, salty, floral, and earthy, and realize it's a blend of ocean and wild blossoms carried inland. The mingling aromas stir memories of gardens and hidden groves, places where mortals will one day build altars and offer prayers. You imagine women weaving garlands of roses and myrtle, dressing in flowing robes scented with jasmine and lavender, their voices lifted in songs of devotion. A soft murmur rises from the water as tiny fish dart through the shallows, their scales catching the light like flickering flames. You watch as a school of silver minnows slips beneath a tangle of seaweed, moving as one with effortless grace. It's a dance of survival and beauty, a testament to the delicate balance that governs the underwater world. Nearby, a crab scuttles across a flat stone, its shell gleaming like polished onyx. You smile at the creature's determined pace, its tiny legs beating a rhythmic tattoo against the rock. It reminds you that life in all its forms, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, plays a role in the unfolding story. The sky above shifts, clouds parting to reveal a canvas of soft blue. Sunlight filters through, casting shimmering patterns on the water's surface and warming the sand beneath your feet. You close your eyes and breathe deeply, feeling the warmth seep into your bones. The sea's chorus, the crash of waves, the cry of gulls, the whisper of the breeze fills your senses, wrapping you in a cocoon of peace and possibility. You stand and turn, catching sight of the goddess once more. She moves with a grace that seems both effortless and deliberate, every step marking the shore with gentle authority. Around her, the gifts of the sea seem to respond. A bloom of roses unfurls nearby, petals turning toward her like offerings of light. You feel a quiet awe settle over you, a deep knowing that this moment is a beginning, a convergence of elements and energies that will ripple through time. The treasures at your feet are not just tokens, but symbols of a world awakening to love's eternal call. Each piece a verse in the poem of her birth. You find yourself drawn toward a soft chant that rises from nearby, weaving through the air like a delicate thread binding earth and sky. The sound is gentle and maternal, a lullaby sung by a voice as old as the stones beneath your feet. You turn and see a figure standing among the dunes d'Ione, cloaked in robes the color of twilight, her eyes reflecting a tender mix of pride and melancholy. Her hands move in slow, deliberate gestures, fingers tracing invisible patterns that seem to stir the very air. The chant grows stronger, a melody that carries the weight of both welcome and warning, a hymn for a daughter whose arrival will ripple through realms seen and unseen. You feel the vibrations in your chest, as if the song is stitched into your bones, awakening memories you never knew you had. Dione's presence is both grounding and ethereal, a bridge between the mortal world and the divine. You watch as she steps closer to the goddess, her voice rising in a warm, steady rhythm that blends seamlessly with the distant music of a lyre, played by a figure you glimpse briefly, Apollo, sun-kissed and serene, weaving golden notes into the morning light. Their combined song feels like an embrace, wrapping the newborn goddess in a cloak of celestial love. The wind picks up again, carrying their voices across the dunes and over the water. You close your eyes, letting the melody wash over you, a balm for the soul that softens the edges of the waking world. It's a sound that speaks of beginnings and endings, of bonds forged in light and shadow, and you find yourself humming along, caught in the tender web of harmony. Around you, the landscape seems to breathe in time with the chant. Flowers lean toward the sound, petals unfolding as if touched by invisible hands. The waves respond with a gentle rise and fall, the water's surface shimmering with the pulse of the music. You realize that this is not just a song, but a blessing, a weaving of protection and promise that will guide the goddess as she steps into her new life. Dione's eyes meet yours briefly, and you sense an unspoken invitation, a call to witness, to hold this moment sacred. You nod, feeling a quiet resolve settle within you. The chant continues, rising and falling like the tide, and you realize that you're a part of this unfolding story, a thread woven into the fabric of divine beginnings. The lyre's strings sing a final, lingering note, and the melody fades into the soft rustle of dunes and the whisper of waves. You open your eyes to see Dione bowing gently before the goddess, her hands folded in quiet reverence. The goddess returns the gesture with a serene smile, a promise of beauty and desire that will echo through countless hearts. As the chant fades, you feel a warmth spreading through your chest, a sense of connection that transcends time and space. You breathe deeply, savoring the stillness that follows a moment suspended between the past and the future, held in the grace of a mother's hymn and a daughter's first breath. You step back, allowing the goddess and her guardian to share their silent communion, and you stand on the threshold of a story that will never end, a tale of love, power, and the enduring mystery of beauty born from the sea. The air thickens with song as more voices join in, weaving together into a chorus that rises above the gentle susurrus of waves and the whisper of the morning breeze. You find yourself surrounded by an assembly of divine figures, muses with flowing robes that shimmer like starlight, gods whose laughter rings like bells, and nymphs who move with effortless grace. Their voices blend, crafting a celestial welcome that vibrates through the air and settles deep into the soil beneath your feet. You feel yourself lifted by the music, a soft current pulling you closer to the heart of the celebration. The melody swells, rich and warm, carrying with it stories yet to be told, tales of passion, creativity, and the eternal dance between light and shadow. You're caught in the rhythm, your breath matching the rise and fall of the chorus, your heartbeat syncing with the pulse of divine harmony. Around you, the gods and goddesses move in time with the music, their steps tracing patterns on the earth like ancient runes come to life. You see Apollo strumming his lyre, the golden strings shimmering with each note, and Dionysus smiling as he sways, the joyous abandon of celebration lighting his eyes. Hera watches quietly, her gaze steady and contemplative, while Artemis stands poised at the edge of the gathering, her presence a quiet balance to the exuberance. The muses sing with voices like silver bells, their harmonies weaving spells that ripple through the crowd. You feel the power of their art, the way song and dance can open hearts, spark inspiration, and bind souls across time. The music is a gift, a bridge between mortal and immortal, and you're honored to be part of this moment when beauty itself is born into the world. As the song reaches its crescendo, petals begin to fall from unseen branches above, drifting down like soft rain. They land on the goddess's shoulders and weave into her hair, a living crown of roses and jasmine. The scent fills the air, a heady mix that stirs memories and dreams. You breathe it in deeply, feeling the warmth of belonging and the thrill of new beginnings. The chorus slowly fades, leaving a gentle silence that hums with possibility. The goddess stands radiant, her presence a beacon of hope and desire. Around her, the assembly of gods and spirits murmurs in awe, their eyes reflecting the light of dawn and the promise of endless stories. You step forward, feeling the soft crunch of petals beneath your feet, and reach out to touch a fallen bloom. Its softness surprises you, a delicate reminder that beauty is fragile and fleeting, yet infinitely powerful. You tuck the petal into your hand, carrying a piece of this divine moment with you. The world seems to hold its breath, suspended between myth and reality, as you witness the birth of a story that will ripple through time. Love, beauty, and desire have taken form, and their song has just begun. You feel it long before you see it, a soft sigh carried on the wind, a current that stirs the air and sends a subtle tremor through the earth. It's the invisible touch of desire, a whisper that reaches into distant hearts and kindles something deep and yearning. You know that somewhere, far beyond these shores, mortals are caught in the unseen web spun by the goddess's birth, a thread of longing pulled taut by forces both gentle and irresistible. You close your eyes and imagine the fluttering pulse of this desire as it ripples through towns and villages, threading its way into crowded marketplaces, quiet hearths, and bustling taverns. Lovers glance sideways with new intensity. Strangers catch breaths that feel stolen, and old flames flicker back to life with a sudden spark. It's a feeling both ancient and immediate, a current beneath the mundane that promises transformation. The air around you shimmers with this energy, warm and electric, like the charged hairs on the back of your neck before a summer storm. You feel it pressing against your skin, seeping into your bones, awakening senses you might have thought dormant. It's the kind of desire that poets chase in fevered verses and artists try to capture in brushstrokes, an essence impossible to pin down, yet undeniable in its pull. You think of the distant echoes of laughter and whispered promises that will follow this moment, carried by the wind to every corner of the known world. Somewhere, a young couple might steal a glance that blossoms into a lifetime of memories, or a solitary soul might feel the stirrings of a hope long buried. This is the beginning of all that, the silent breath before 1,000 sighs. The waves at your feet seem to respond, their rhythm matching the pulse of desire spreading across the land. You watch as the foam curls and recedes, a dance of anticipation and release. There's a delicate tension in the air, a balance between restraint and surrender that mirrors the goddess herself, both serene and wild, gentle and commanding. You open your eyes and see the goddess standing with an expression that is both knowing and inviting. There's a flicker of a smile playing at the corners of her lips, a secret shared between her and the world. You feel drawn to her as if caught in a tide that lifts and carries you forward, urging you to embrace the unknown. A breeze carries the faint scent of blooming roses and ocean salt, wrapping around you like a soft cloak. You breathe it in, savoring the complex blend that speaks of love, loss, and the endless dance between them. It's a scent that lingers in memory long after the moment has passed, a reminder of beauty's power to touch and transform. You find yourself reaching out, not quite sure for what, a hand, a dream, a moment frozen in time. The goddess's gaze holds yours, steady and unyielding, and you realize that desire is not just a force outside yourself, but something living within. It is the spark that animates every heartbeat, the fire that kindles every connection. You smile softly, the world around you humming with possibility. The breath of the goddess has stirred something eternal, a current of longing and hope that will flow through generations. You take a step forward, ready to follow wherever this new story leads. Your feet press into the warm earth of Cyprus, the island's volcanic soil rich and fertile beneath you. There's a steady warmth radiating from the ground, as though the heart of the earth itself is pulsing in rhythm with the new goddess's arrival. The air here carries a unique blend of sense-earthy minerals, mingled with the fragrance of wild herbs and blossoming flowers that seem to awaken at her touch. You feel the energy humming underfoot, alive and vibrant, as if the island itself has been waiting for this moment. You wander along a narrow path, winding through groves of olive and fig trees, leaves rustling softly in the gentle breeze. The sunlight filters through the branches in dappled patches, warming your skin and painting the ground with shifting patterns. The quiet here is profound, broken only by the occasional chirp of a cicada or the distant call of a songbird. It's a place where time seems to slow, where the natural world holds its breath in anticipation. As you move deeper into the landscape, the volcanic hills rise gently around you, their slopes blanketed in vibrant greenery. You imagine the heat beneath your feet coming from hidden springs, bubbling quietly in caverns just below the surface. The ground feels alive, charged with potential and mystery, a perfect cradle for a goddess born from sea and foam. You pause beside a small cluster of wild roses, their petals soft and blush-colored, catching the sunlight like tiny flames. Their fragrance mingles with the salty breeze, creating a heady perfume that seems to embody the island's essence. You pluck a single bloom and tuck it behind your ear, the delicate softness a reminder of the fleeting beauty around you. Nearby, you notice a gathering of butterflies, their wings shimmering in hues of orange and gold. They flutter among the flowers in a dance of light and color, tracing invisible paths that lead deeper into the heart of the island. You follow them instinctively, feeling drawn towards something just beyond the next rise, a promise whispered by the wind and sung by the earth. The path opens onto a clearing where wild grasses sway in the breeze, dotted with clusters of lavender and thyme. The air here is thick with the scent of herbs, sharp and sweet, grounding and uplifting, all at once. You kneel to touch the earth, feeling the rich texture between your fingers and the pulse of life beneath the surface. It's a sacred place, a sanctuary where the goddess's power can take root and flourish. You look up to see the sky above vast and clear, painted in shades of soft blue and gold. The sun hangs low, casting long shadows that stretch across the landscape like fingers reaching toward the future. You feel a deep connection to this land, a sense that it holds stories yet untold, waiting for the goddess's touch to bring them to life. A gentle rustling draws your attention to the edge of the clearing, where a pair of deer emerge from the trees. They move with quiet grace, their eyes bright and curious as they regard you and the goddess alike. You sense their presence as a blessing, a silent affirmation that this place is sacred and protected. You rise and take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the fragrant air. The island's warmth seeps into your bones, steady and reassuring. You feel a surge of hope and possibility, knowing that from this fertile ground will grow stories of love, beauty, and transformation tales that will echo through time and across the seas. You smile softly, stepping forward with renewed purpose. The goddess's journey has only just begun, and you are here to witness every step, every breath, every whispered promise carried on the island's wind. You close your eyes and let your mind drift across the tapestry of mortal lives, sensing the threads of beauty and desire weaving through future moments still unborn. In the quiet corners of the world, two names rise unbidden, Helen and Adonis, figures destined to embody the essence of love's triumphs and tragedies. You feel their stories as if they already pulse beneath your skin, echoes waiting to be awakened by the goddess's touch. Helen's presence is like a fragile flame, brilliant and consuming. You envision her eyes deep pools of longing and defiance, and the way her beauty will ignite kingdoms and unravel alliances. Her story is woven with passion and peril, a dance of light and shadow that will ripple across generations. You sense the weight of destiny pressing on her shoulders, the burden of being desired, and the cost that desire will demand. Adonis, by contrast, feels like the quiet strength of the earth itself, steadfast, radiant, and fleeting. His story is one of renewal and loss, a testament to the cycles of life and death that shape all things. You imagine the wild forests he will roam, the delicate flowers that will bloom in his wake, and the tragic beauty of a life cut short but never forgotten. As you dwell on their futures, you realize that their lives are intertwined with the goddess's birth, a cosmic dance choreographed by unseen hands. Their stories will unfold like petals, each layer revealing new facets of love's power and pain. You feel the stirrings of these narratives within you, a silent invitation to witness the unfolding of myth and memory. The air around you hums with possibility, charged by the weight of lives yet to be lived. You catch the faintest scent of myrtle and pomegranate, symbols of fertility and rebirth that seem to rise from the earth itself. The ground beneath your feet feels warm and receptive, as if embracing the promise of stories waiting to be told. You imagine the mortal realm awakening to these new energies, lovers meeting in secret glades, hearts breaking and mending beneath moonlit skies, and the ceaseless flow of desire that will shape the fate of gods and men alike. The goddess's breath has set these forces in motion, and you sense the inevitability of their unfolding. A breeze stirs the leaves overhead, carrying with it whispers of future prayers and offerings, garlands of roses and laurel, songs sung at twilight, and candles flickering in shadowed temples. You feel the pulse of devotion that will bind mortals to the divine, a web of faith spun from the threads of longing and gratitude. You breathe deeply, feeling the weight and wonder of these impending tales settle within you. There's a bittersweet beauty in knowing that love's stories are as fragile as they are eternal, as joyous as they are heartbreaking. You smile softly, grateful for the chance to stand at the threshold of these unfolding destinies. Turning your gaze back to the goddess, you see her face illuminated by the soft glow of dawn. There's a quiet strength in her eyes now, a knowing that she carries not just beauty, but the power to shape hearts and worlds. You step forward, ready to follow wherever this journey may lead, a witness to the eternal dance of love and loss. You sense a subtle shift in the atmosphere as rivalries begin to simmer beneath the surface, quiet yet unmistakable. The gods watch with keen eyes, their expressions veiled but sharp, as the new presence asserts itself among them. Hera, ever regal and commanding, folds her arms with a cool precision, a flicker of doubt shadowing her gaze. You can feel the tension radiating from her, an unspoken challenge wrapped in poised restraint. It's the delicate politics of Olympus, where alliances are forged and tested in whispers as much as in thunderous declarations. Nearby, Artemis stands with an elegant reserve, her bow slung across her back, eyes narrowed with a cautious appraisal. She embodies the huntress's fierce independence, a silent guardian of boundaries, both physical and divine. You sense her subtle disapproval, not born of malice, but from a protective instinct for the order she upholds. The goddess of the hunt respects strength and purity, and here stands a figure whose power flows from allure and desire, a force that can both inspire and unsettle. You notice the glances exchanged among the Olympians, the barely concealed curiosity mingling with guarded skepticism. It's the way of gods to measure new power carefully, weighing potential threats alongside possibilities. You feel yourself caught in the current of these unspoken judgments, an observer to a divine game that stretches beyond mere mortal comprehension. The air hums with anticipation, charged by the invisible threads of rivalry and alliance. You imagine conversations held behind veiled curtains, whispers passed along temple halls, and strategies quietly devised in the shadow of marble columns. These dynamics will ripple through the stories yet to unfold, shaping the goddess's path as surely as any fate or prophecy. Amidst this subtle tension, the goddess remains poised, her serene smile undisturbed. There's a knowing in her eyes, a quiet confidence that speaks of power born not just from beauty, but from an understanding of the intricate dance of gods and mortals. She moves through the divine gathering with effortless grace, a reminder that allure can be both shield and sword. You feel the pulse of the moment, a convergence of admiration and rivalry, acceptance and challenge. It's the balance that defines the divine realm, where power is both shared and contested in endless cycles. You watch fascinated as the goddess's presence begins to reshape the landscape of Olympus, stirring winds of change that will sweep through myth and memory alike. A breeze carries the faint scent of jasmine and myrtle, mingling with the distant murmur of the sea. You breathe it in deeply, feeling the tension soften just enough to let promise shine through. The gods may vie for position, but here and now the birth of beauty and desire marks a new chapter, one written in the language of hearts and stories. You step back, allowing the goddess space to navigate the currents of divine intrigue. You know this is only the beginning, a prelude to a saga that will stretch beyond the boundaries of time. With a quiet smile, you prepare to follow the unfolding tale, heart open and senses alert. You follow her steps as she moves through gardens that seem to bloom in her wake, petals unfurling as if kissed by a magic unseen but deeply felt. The air is thick with the scent of jasmine and rose, the fragrances weaving a delicate tapestry that fills every corner with promise and warmth. Around her, flowers lean toward the light she carries, their colors brightening with each graceful movement she makes. You notice how the sunlight dances on her skin, casting a golden glow that seems to ripple with every breath she takes. The garden itself feels alive, trees sway gently, leaves rustling like whispered secrets, and vines curl toward her as if eager to embrace. It's a place where time slows, where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary simply through her presence. As you walk beside her, you become aware of the settled power she wields, not through force, but through the quiet, undeniable force of beauty and attraction. You feel the pull in the air, the way the world bends slightly toward her, a magnetic current that draws in all living things. Butterflies flutter at her heels, and birds burst into song as if heralding her arrival. The garden paths waned through bursts of color pinks and purples, soft whites and vivid reds, each bloom seeming to celebrate this moment of blossoming power. You sense that this is her domain, a place born from the union of earth and sea, shaped by the gentle hand of desire and the fierce heart of life. You pause to touch a petal, soft and cool beneath your fingertips, and marvel at the intricate veins that carry life within. The delicate texture reminds you that beauty is fragile, yet it holds a strength that defies time and hardship. It's a balance she embodies perfectly, softness and resilience intertwined. In the distance, you hear the quiet hum of bees working among the blossoms, their steady labor a testament to the ongoing cycle of growth and renewal. You think of the unseen connections that sustain life here, the pollinators, the soil, the sunlight, and realize that this garden is a living metaphor for the goddess herself, a nexus of creation and desire, growth and transformation. You look up to see her smile, radiant and serene, a quiet acknowledgement of the world she's shaping. Her eyes meet yours, and in that glance you feel the unspoken understanding that you are witness to something eternal. This garden is more than a place. It's an extension of her essence, a living promise of beauty's power to heal, inspire, and endure. You breathe in deeply, the scents and sounds filling you with a calm certainty. This is her realm, a sanctuary of grace and allure where stories of love and longing will unfold beneath the canopy of blooming life. You step forward, ready to walk beside her as the tale continues to weave itself through time and space. You watch as small altars begin to appear along the shoreline, simple yet reverent stones stacked with care, bowls filled with fresh water and fragrant oils, offerings placed with hands both hopeful and trembling. These humble shrines are the first signs of morta worship, expressions of awe and gratitude directed toward the goddess who has risen from the sea. You feel the weight of these gestures, the silent prayers carried on the breeze, each one a thread connecting human hearts to divine power. The scent of incense curls upward, mingling with the salty air, its sweet smoke a bridge between worlds. You see flickering flames dancing in oil lamps, their light steady despite the playful tug of the wind. Around these altars, simple flowers, roses, myrtle, and violets are scattered in patterns that speak of fertility, love, and protection. The rituals here are tender and tentative, a nascent devotion blossoming from the soil of wonder. You imagine the people who tend these sacred spots, fishermen who whisper thanks for safe passage, lovers seeking blessings for union, mothers praying for fertility and health. Their voices are hushed, their movements deliberate, as they honor the presence that has touched their world with beauty and desire. Each act of worship is a thread woven into the larger tapestry of myth and memory, a story unfolding across generations. Nearby, children play along the water's edge, their laughter bright and free, unaware yet of the sacred significance in the waves they chase. Their innocence is a reminder that devotion often begins in moments of joy and wonder, before it deepens into solemn faith. You smile, sensing the promise that this worship will grow, evolving with the tides of human experience. The breeze carries soft chants, fragments of prayers and hymns that drift over the water, like petals on a stream. You catch snippets of ancient languages mingling with new voices, the living breath of culture breathing life into tradition. The melodies rise and fall, echoing the rhythm of the sea and the heartbeat of the goddess herself. You kneel beside one of the altars, fingers brushing the cool stones, and feel a surge of connection. Here, in this simple act, you touch the sacred, an acknowledgement that beauty and love are forces that bind the mortal and the divine. The offerings before you glimmer with promise, each one a testament to faith's quiet power. As the sun climbs higher, casting a golden glow over the scene, you sense the growth of a community, one built on reverence, hope, and the eternal quest for connection. The altars stand as beacons, guiding hearts toward the goddess whose birth has changed the course of many lives. You rise, carrying the weight and warmth of this awakening, ready to follow where the story leads next. A warmth spreads through your chest, subtle at first, like the soft glow of embers just before they burst into flame. You realize it's the power of love awakening in the world. A force both gentle and relentless, capable of transforming hearts and shaping destinies. The breath of the goddess has stirred this flame, and now it flickers in countless places. Silent fires kindled in the quiet moments between longing and fulfillment. You feel this warmth ripple outward, touching the lives of mortals in ways both visible and unseen. It is in the glance shared between strangers in a crowded market, the brush of a hand beneath a table, the stolen smile exchanged under moonlight. Love is a language spoken in gestures and silences, a current flowing beneath the surface of everyday life, now quickened by divine breath. As you stand amidst the rising tide of desire, you become aware of its many faces. There is the sweet innocence of first affection, fragile and tentative, filled with the thrill of discovery. You sense the fiery passion of lovers entwined, their hearts pounding in unison as time seems to pause around them. You also feel the aching sorrow of love lost, a deep wound that carves space for growth and understanding. You watch as this power manifests in the quiet acts of kindness and connection, the hand extended in comfort, the words spoken with tenderness, the willingness to be vulnerable and open. It is a force that defies boundaries and expectations, a dance of risk and reward that binds souls across time and place. The world around you seems to hum with this energy, the air thick with promise and possibility. Flowers turn toward the sun with renewed vigor, their petals unfolding in celebration. Birds sing more sweetly, their melodies weaving through the branches like ribbons of sound. Even the waves respond, curling and breaking with a rhythmic pulse that mirrors the heartbeat of love itself. You feel yourself drawn into this current, your own heart swelling with the same warmth. It is a reminder that love is not merely an abstract concept, but a living, breathing force, one that shapes choices, inspires courage, and fosters connection. It is both the spark that ignites and the flame that sustains, a light that guides through darkness and doubt. In this moment, you understand that love's power is a lesson written into the fabric of existence, a teaching that asks for openness, patience, and trust. It is a journey without maps, where the only certainty is the willingness to embrace uncertainty. You smile softly, grateful for the chance to stand at the beginning of this unfolding story. Around you, the world continues, its dance flowers bloom, waves break, and hearts beat in time with the goddess's breath. You feel the lesson settle deep within, a quiet knowledge that will linger long after the moment fades. Love is a force beyond control, a wild and tender energy that shapes all life. As the sun climbs higher, casting light on the land and sea, you take a deep breath and step forward. The warmth within you grows, a steady flame that promises new beginnings and endless possibilities. You are ready to follow where this path leads, carrying the lesson of love's power in your heart. The goddess's presence fills the horizon, a beacon of beauty and desire that will guide countless souls. You watch as the world awakens to this new light, the promise of connection and transformation blooming like the first rose of spring. The journey has only just begun, and you stand poised to witness every step. You find yourself drawn to an island where the customs ripple like waves across generations, blending reverence and celebration in ways both familiar and strange. The locals gather beneath a sky brushed with twilight, weaving rose petals into their garments with care and ceremony. Their fingers move deftly, threading the soft blooms into wreaths and sashes Each petal is symbol of fertility, beauty, and the blessings they seek from the goddess who has graced their shores. The air is thick with the scent of roses, mingling with the salt and earth, a fragrance that seems to pulse with life. You watch as elders lead the ritual, their voices low and melodic, chanting prayers that echo against the cliffs and mingle with the lapping waves. The community moves as one, a living tapestry of devotion and hope, their collective heartbeat in time with the rhythm of the sea. Children scamper between adults, their laughter light and free, carrying petals in their hands and spilling them joyfully along the paths. You sense the innocence of their play, a pure offering to the goddess's power, unburdened by the complexities that come with age. Their presence adds a softness to the ceremony, a reminder that worship is woven through life's cycles, from first breath to final sigh. You notice the intricate patterns painted on the faces and arms of the celebrants, swirls and symbols in vibrant reds and golds. These markings tell stories of love, protection, and renewal, passed down through generations like sacred texts written on skin. You run your fingers lightly over the symbols etched into your own palm, feeling the connection to this living tradition and the ancient forces it honors. As the sun dips lower, casting a fiery glow over the sea, the community gathers around a central fire. Flames leap skyward, crackling and sending sparks like tiny stars into the night. The fire's warmth wraps around you, a tangible reminder of the goddess's presence, her power to ignite passion and transform the ordinary into the sacred. Songs rise from the circle, voices blending in harmony that feels both spontaneous and timeless. You join in, your own voice carrying the melody into the night, becoming part of a chorus that celebrates beauty, desire, and the eternal dance of life. The music flows through you, weaving a spell that binds past and present, mortal and divine. Around the fire, offerings are placed, bowls of honey, fresh fruits, and delicate flowers. Each item is chosen with care, a tangible expression of gratitude and longing. You touch the smooth surface of a bowl filled with water, feeling the coolness seep into your skin and awaken a deeper awareness. This is a communion, a moment where boundaries blur and hearts open wide. The night air carries whispers of ancient stories, tales of goddesses and mortals, of love won and lost, of passions that burn bright and fade into legend. You feel these stories weaving themselves around you, threads of narrative that will shape the lives of those who come after. You are part of this unfolding tapestry, a keeper of memory and witness to transformation. As embers glow softly in the firelight, you gaze up at the stars, their brilliance mirrored in the eyes of those around you. The island breathes with life and devotion, a sacred space where beauty and desire are honored with every breath and every song. You feel a deep gratitude for this moment, a quiet knowing that you are connected to something eternal. The ceremony winds down, but the sense of connection lingers, a gentle pulse that echoes in your chest. You rise, brushing rose petals from your hands, and take a step toward the shore. The waves beckon, their rhythmic call a reminder that the goddess's story continues to flow, shaping lives and hearts like the ever-turning tides. You stand at the water's edge, letting the cool sea wash over your feet. The night sky stretches above, vast and infinite, filled with the promise of countless stories yet to be told. You smile softly, ready to follow the path ahead, carrying the warmth of this sacred night in your heart. The sea holds its memory like a vast, silent archive, each shell, each wave, each shifting tide a page in an endless story written in water and salt. You stand on the shore, toes curling into the cool sand, and feel the weight of this history pressing gently against your skin. It's a presence both comforting and immense, like standing beneath a sky thick with stars, each one a witness to the ages. You pick up a smooth shell, its surface worn and polished by countless journeys through currents and storms. Holding it close, you imagine the whispers it carries, voices of sailors lost and found, lovers reunited and parted, children's laughter carried on the wind. The shell is more than a fragment of the sea. It's a vessel of memory, a keeper of secrets passed down through endless tides. The water laps softly at your feet, its rhythm a heartbeat that resonates deep within you. You watch as foam bubbles form and burst, tiny worlds flickering into existence only to dissolve moments later. It's a reminder that life itself is fragile and fleeting, a dance of beginnings and endings played out on the vast stage of the ocean. You close your eyes and let the sound of waves fill your senses, imagining the countless stories they have carried, messages in bottles, prayers whispered in the dark, songs sung to the moon. Each ripple is a thread connecting past to present, mortal to divine, love to longing. You feel your breath slow, your heart sinking with the steady pulse of the sea. A sudden breeze stirs, bringing with it the faint scent of salt and wildflowers. It wraps around you like a soft cloak, a gentle reminder that the sea's memory is not cold or distant, but alive and vibrant. You open your eyes to see gulls circling above, their cries sharp and clear against the vast blue. They seem to celebrate the eternal dance between sky and water, freedom and home. The horizon stretches endlessly, a seamless line where water meets sky, promise meets mystery. You step closer to the waves, letting them wash over your ankles, cool and insistent. The sea's embrace feels like an invitation to remember, to dream, to become part of its timeless flow. You dip your fingers into the water, watching as droplets scatter like liquid stars before settling back into the ocean's fold. You imagine the sea's memory as a living thing, a vast organism breathing beneath the surface, its stories whispered through currents and tides. It holds the birth of the goddess in its depths, a moment of beauty and power that ripples outward, touching every shore and every heart. You feel privileged to stand at this nexus, a witness to the eternal narrative unfolding beneath your feet. The sun dips lower, casting long shadows and gilding the waves in gold. The light shimmers on the water's surface, fracturing into a million glimmers that dance and flicker like fireflies. You watch as a school of fish breaks the surface in a sudden burst of silver, their movements swift and fluid, a living flash of life beneath the vast sky. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with the cool, salty air, and let the sea's memory settle within you. It is a quiet power, a steady pulse that will carry you forward, reminding you of the beauty born from foam, the stories etched into every shell, and the endless dance between love and the sea. As twilight descends, you stand in awe of the ocean's vastness, its depth, and its stories. You feel a profound connection, a thread woven through time that binds you to the goddess, to the earth, and to the endless rhythm of waves. With one last look at the shimmering horizon, you turn away, carrying the sea's memory deep within your heart. You close your eyes and envision the countless artists, sculptors, and poets who have sought to capture this very moment, the birth of beauty itself. Across time, their hands and hearts have tried to bottle the light of the goddess, to freeze her grace in marble and paint, to weave her essence into words that dance on the page. You feel their passion and frustration, the bittersweet pursuit of perfection and the fleeting nature of inspiration. In your mind's eye, you walk through galleries and temples, places where her image has been immortalized. You see statues with flowing robes and serene faces, the smooth curves of flesh carved with reverence and longing. You hear the murmurs of visitors, their voices filled with awe as they contemplate the timeless allure that seems to emanate from cold stone and polished bronze. Paintings unfold before you, bursts of color and light that tell stories of love and desire, war and peace, joy and sorrow. Each brush stroke is a testament to the goddess's power to inspire, to move hearts and minds across centuries. You imagine the artist's studios filled with the scent of oil and pigment, the quiet intensity of creation, the moments when vision meets reality. You think of the poets who have sung her praises, their verses weaving through the air like a delicate fragrance. Their words speak of passion's fire, of beauty's fleeting glance, of the ache and ecstasy that only love can bring. You feel the rhythm of their lines, the rise and fall of their voices, and the way their stories ripple through time, carried on the breath of those who listen. The goddess's image is both constant and ever-changing, shaped by the hands of countless creators who see in her a reflection of their own desires and dreams. You sense the tension between the ideal and the real, the eternal and the momentary, the divine and the human. It's a dance of light and shadow, a presence and absence, a living dialogue that continues to unfold. You feel the weight of this artistic legacy resting gently on your shoulders, a responsibility and a gift. You realize that you too are part of this continuum, a thread in the tapestry of homage and inspiration. The stories you carry, the images you hold, and the feelings you nurture are echoes of that original spark, the breath of the goddess that ignited the world. As you open your eyes, you see the goddess once more, radiant and serene, standing at the edge of a gallery carved by time itself. The light catches her features in a way that seems to blur the line between flesh and stone, life and art. You reach out instinctively, your fingers grazing the air where form and essence meet. A breeze stirs, carrying the faint scent of pigment and marble mingled with the sea's salty breath. You take a deep breath, letting the mingled scents fill your lungs and steady your heart. You smile softly, feeling connected to every artist who has ever sought to capture beauty's elusive glow. The world around you hums with quiet energy, a gentle reminder that creation is never finished, only paused between moments. You turn away from the goddess in the gallery, stepping forward into the endless dance of inspiration and memory. The story continues, carried on the wings of dreams and the strokes of hands willing to try again. You walk into the unfolding light, ready to add your own verse to the eternal song of beauty, born from the sea foam. You hear whispers carried by the wind-soft voices threading through olive groves and rocky hillsides, murmurs of prophecy that twist and turn like smoke rising from sacred fires. These are the words of the Sibyls, ancient seers whose visions blur the boundaries between present and future, mortal and divine. You feel their gaze upon you, piercing and gentle, as they murmur tales of love and war, of passion and sacrifice born from the goddess's breath. The Sibyls speak in riddles and metaphor, their voices a chorus that swells and fades like the tide. You catch fragments of their visions, battles ignited by stolen glances, alliances forged in the heat of desire, hearts torn between duty and longing. Their prophecies are a tapestry woven from light and shadow, an eternal dance that reflects the complexity of human and divine experience. You imagine the Sibyls seated in hidden groves, cloaked in mystery and silence, their eyes clouded with the weight of knowledge. They hold scrolls and bones, symbols of fate and destiny, tracing patterns that foretell the unfolding of stories yet to be lived. Their words echo through time, shaping the hopes and fears of those who dare to listen. The air around you thickens with anticipation, charged by the power of these ancient visions. You feel yourself caught in the current of prophecy, swept toward moments where love and tragedy intertwine, where choices ripple across generations. It's a reminder that the goddess's birth is not just a beginning, but a catalyst for change, a force that will shape the course of myth and memory. You breathe deeply, letting the weight and wonder of these visions settle within you. There's a bittersweet beauty in knowing that love's power can both create and destroy, build and unravel. The Sibyl's voices are a call to embrace complexity, to hold space for joy and sorrow alike. You open your eyes to see the goddess standing beneath a canopy of stars, her gaze lifted toward the heavens. There's a quiet strength in her posture, a readiness to face the challenges and triumphs foretold by the seers. You step forward, feeling the pulse of prophecy in your veins, ready to witness the unfolding of destiny. Around you, the world breathes with possibility, the night alive with whispered secrets and unseen forces. The Sibyl's words linger in the air, a haunting melody that will guide hearts and hands through the eternal dance of love and fate. You smile softly, knowing that this is but one chapter in a story that will never end. You take a step into the future, carrying the weight of prophecy and the promise of the goddess's enduring power. You sense the quiet preparation as the goddess readies herself for the first time to wield the tools of her domain. Tiny arrows, delicate and gleaming, lie nestled in a satchel woven from seaweed and golden threads. These are the first gifts of Eros, the subtle and relentless force of love's aim. Each arrow a promise and a peril wrapped into one. You watch as she lifts the satchel, fingers brushing the shafts with reverence and a spark of anticipation. The air around you seems to still, holding its breath in expectation. You feel the pulse of possibility, the tension of potential energy waiting to be released. The arrows glint in the morning light, each one slender and perfect, tipped with a magic that can ignite passion or calm the fiercest heart. It's a moment suspended between calm and storm, where the first move will set countless destinies into motion. You imagine the first arrow being drawn, its flight silent but unstoppable, piercing through space and time to touch a heart somewhere far away. The impact is both invisible and profound, a sudden awakening, a spark of desire, a shift in the balance of connection. You feel the electric thrill of that moment, a ripple that spreads from the smallest pulse of emotion to the grandest epic of love and loss. The goddess's gaze is steady as she tests the weight of the bow, her movements graceful and sure. She understands that these arrows are not mere weapons, but instruments of transformation, tools that wield the power to bind and free, to heal and wound. You feel the reverence in her touch, a deep knowing that love's force is sacred and complex. Around you, the world seems to hold its breath, the air thick with the magic of beginnings. The sun climbs higher, casting a warm glow on the sea and shore, illuminating the goddess as she prepares to step fully into her role. You sense the unfolding of stories yet untold, the first blush of love, the ache of longing, the joy of union, and the pain of separation. You take a breath and feel your own heart quicken, caught in the current of this unfolding moment. The goddess's power is both a beacon and a challenge, a call to embrace the full spectrum of human and divine experience. You know that the arrows she carries will shape lives and legends, weaving threads of connection that span realms. As she draws the first arrow, you see the light catch the tip, a shimmer of gold and fire that heralds the journey ahead. The bowstring hums softly, a note of promise and power. You step forward, ready to follow wherever this flight leads, a witness to the eternal dance of love's first bow. The world awaits, poised on the edge of possibility, as the goddess releases the arrow that will change everything. You feel a shift in the air, subtle yet undeniable, as shadows gather on the horizon, storms of fate brewing in the distance, both literal and metaphorical. The power born from the goddess's breath has set forces in motion that will ripple across mortal realms, stirring tempests of passion and conflict. You sense the looming presence of tragedy, woven into the tapestry of love's bright promise, a reminder that desire's flame can scorch as well as illuminate. The sky darkens with the weight of unspoken sorrows, clouds rolling in like ancient ships bearing portents. You watch as the wind picks up, carrying whispers of distant battles fought not just with swords, but with hearts and wills. The tension tightens, a charged atmosphere where hope and despair collide in a delicate, dangerous dance. You realize that beauty and desire, while radiant, also cast shadows, complex and enduring. In the distance, you glimpse flickers of lightning tearing across the clouds, brilliant yet fleeting. The storm is both a threat and a cleansing force, a necessary upheaval that will reshape destinies and redefine love's boundaries. You feel the charged energy in your bones, the electric anticipation of moments yet to unfold, where choices will bear heavy consequences, and the cost of passion will be measured in more than joy. The goddess stands steady amidst the gathering storm, her expression serene but resolute. She embodies the paradox of beauty, both fragile and fierce, a beacon in the tempest. You sense her awareness of the trials ahead, the sacrifices love demands, and the strength needed to endure them. Her presence anchors the swirling chaos, a calm center in the eye of an emotional hurricane. Around you, the world responds. Waves grow restless, crashing with increasing force against the shore. Trees bend beneath the wind's insistence, their leaves thrashing in wild applause. The air crackles with energy charged by the collision of light and shadow, hope and fear. You breathe deeply, feeling the storm's breath on your skin, both exhilarating and humbling. You think of the countless hearts that will be caught in this maelstrom, lovers torn apart and reunited, friendships tested by jealousy and betrayal, bonds forged and broken in the crucible of desire. The goddess's birth has awakened a force that will shape not just moments of happiness, but the depths of human experience, painting life in vibrant, sometimes painful hues. You step forward, drawn into the storm's embrace, ready to face the unfolding narrative with open eyes and an open heart. The tempest is not just destruction, but transformation, a fierce teacher whose lessons carve space for growth and renewal. You feel your pulse quicken, matching the rhythm of thunder and rain. As the first drops fall, cool and sudden, you raise your face to the sky, welcoming the cleansing wash. The storm is a testament to love's complexity, a reminder that beauty is not merely to be admired but understood in its fullness. You stand firm, ready to witness every turn, every clash, every tender moment born from this swirling dance. The horizon glows faintly with the promise of dawn beyond the storm, a light waiting to break through darkness. You hold that hope close as the tempest rages, knowing that from chaos comes clarity, from pain comes wisdom, and from love's trials comes enduring strength. You feel the delicate balance between chaos and beauty hanging in the air, like a fragile thread stretched taut between two worlds. It's a paradox that pulses through every living thing, a dance of contrasts that defines the goddess's essence. Here, longing and serenity intertwine, passion and calm merge, creating a rhythm that beats with the complexity of life itself. You watch the waves break and reform, their constant movement a mirror for the ebb and flow of desire. The sea is both wild and nurturing, a force that can destroy and create in equal measure. You feel this duality as it ripples through the landscape, a reminder that beauty is not static but dynamic, alive with tension and release. The sky above shifts in color, blending shades of soft pink and deep indigo. As day yields to night, stars begin to twinkle, their light a gentle counterpoint to the restless sea. You sense that this transition holds a message, an invitation to embrace uncertainty and find grace within it. The balance between darkness and light is where true beauty lives, resilient and radiant. Around you, the world breathes with quiet intensity. Leaves whisper secrets in the breeze, and distant birds call to one another in a haunting melody. The air is cool and sweet, carrying the scent of salt and blooming jasmine. You breathe deeply, feeling the pulse of life vibrating in every breath, every heartbeat. You think of the countless stories that will unfold under this sky tailies of love found and lost. Of moments suspended between hope and despair. Each narrative is a thread woven into the goddess's legacy, a testament to the power of longing and the strength born from vulnerability. You feel honored to be part of this unfolding tapestry, a witness to the eternal dance. As darkness deepens, the stars grow brighter, their light shimmering on the water's surface like scattered jewels. The moon rises slowly, casting a silver glow that bathes the world in quiet magic. You watch as the goddess stands beneath this celestial canopy, her presence a beacon of grace and strength. Her eyes reflect the starlight, shining with the wisdom of ages and the promise of new beginnings. You sense her awareness of the delicate balance she embodies, a force that holds chaos and beauty in harmonious tension. She moves with a grace that speaks of acceptance and power, a reminder that true strength lies in embracing complexity. You step forward, feeling the cool sand beneath your feet and the gentle breeze on your skin. The night wraps around you like a soft cloak, inviting you to let go of certainty and step into the unknown. You feel your heart open, ready to receive the lessons this balance offers. The world around you seems to hold its breath, suspended in a moment of perfect equilibrium. You smile softly, knowing that this fragile balance is the essence of life and love, of beauty and desire. It is a dance without end, a rhythm that carries you forward on waves of light and shadow. You close your eyes, letting the night's quiet energy fill you, a steady current that will guide your steps. In this moment, you are part of the eternal dance, a witness and participant in the unfolding story of chaos and beauty united. You watch as the ripples from the goddess's presence spread outward, reaching islands and forests, valleys and mountains, stirring the elements in an unseen symphony. The trees sway gently, leaves rustling like whispers carried on the breeze. You hear the rustle of feathers as birds take flight, their wings slicing through the cool air, scattering light like sparks across the horizon. The earth itself seems to respond. Soft moss stretches across stones, flowers open their petals, and even the soil breathes beneath your feet. Each movement is a part of a larger rhythm, a pulse that connects the realms of gods and mortals. You feel the subtle stirring of energy in the air, a vibration that dances across skin and through bones, awakening dormant senses. It's as if the entire world is exhaling in gratitude and wonder, a silent chorus echoing the goddess's song of beauty and desire. You turn your gaze toward the ocean, where the waves shimmer under the rising sun. The water reflects the sky's changing hues: lavender, melting into rose, then gold. You see schools of fish darting beneath the surface, their scales flashing like fragments of light, a dazzling display of life and movement. Seabirds call overhead, their cries weaving through the salty air, a living thread connecting sea and sky. Nearby, a meadow bursts into color as wildflowers bloom in response to unseen touch. The petals are delicate and vibrant, pinks, purples, yellows, a celebration of life's abundance. Butterflies flit from bloom to bloom, their wings a blur of iridescent hues, and bees hum busily, gathering nectar with tireless devotion. The meadow hums with vitality, a sacred space where beauty and life intertwine. You take a deep breath, savoring the mingled scents of salt, earth, and blossom. The fragrance wraps around you like a comforting shawl, grounding you in the moment while inviting your spirit to soar. You feel the world's heartbeat sync with your own, steady and strong, a rhythm that carries hope and renewal. A gentle breeze stirs your hair, bringing with it the distant sound of laughter, a reminder of the joy sparked by connection and love. Children's voices ring clear, their carefree play a living testament to the promise of new beginnings. You smile, warmed by the scene, knowing that the goddess's influence touches even the smallest moments of life. You step forward onto a soft patch of grass, feeling the earth yield beneath your feet. The ground is cool and damp, alive with the subtle energy of growth. You close your eyes and imagine the countless stories that will unfold here, whispers shared beneath moonlit skies, hands clasped in quiet comfort, hearts opening to the possibilities of love and beauty. The sun climbs higher, casting golden light that filters through the canopy of leaves, creating shifting patterns on the forest floor. You watch as shadows dance and merge, a tapestry of light and dark that mirrors the complexity of the world you've come to know. Every detail feels infused with meaning: a leaf's delicate vein, a bird's fleeting flight, the gentle curve of a flower petal. You sense the goddess's presence near, a warm and steady force that anchors you in this unfolding moment. Her power is not just in grand gestures, but in the subtle, enduring acts of creation and connection. You feel her breath in the breeze, her touch in the bloom of every flower, her song in the chorus of life. You open your eyes and smile, ready to walk beside her as the story continues to unfold. The world around you is alive with promise, a canvas painted in the colors of love, beauty, and the endless dance of desire. You step forward with a heart open to the journey ahead, a witness to the magic woven through every corner of this sacred realm. You feel a hush settle over the world, a gentle pause that invites reflection and reverence. The air is thick with quiet anticipation, as if all of nature itself holds its breath to witness the goddess's grace in motion. The soft rustle of leaves, the distant cry of a lone bird, and the rhythmic pulse of waves breaking gently on the shore create a symphony of subtle sounds that cradle your senses. You stand on the threshold of a moment that feels sacred and infinite, a stillness that speaks of beginnings and endings woven into one seamless breath. The light around you softens, casting a warm glow that bathes the landscape in hues of gold and rose. It is as though the world itself has dimmed its colors to honor the unfolding beauty, creating a canvas where every shade tells a story. The goddess moves with a fluid grace, each step a delicate imprint on the earth and air. Her presence is a melody, a silent song that resonates in your heart and stirs a longing you can't quite name. You sense that she is both here and everywhere, a living embodiment of the yearning that threads through all life. Her gaze holds the promise of discovery and the gentle invitation to dream. Around you, the world seems to lean in, bending toward the stillness with a quiet reverence. Flowers tilt their heads as if listening, their petals trembling softly in the breeze. The trees bow slightly, their branches swaying in a slow, deliberate dance that mirrors the goddess's own movement. Even the stones beneath your feet seem to hum with a gentle energy, grounded and ancient. You close your eyes, letting the hush wash over you like a soothing tide. Your breath slows, deepening into a rhythm that matches the heartbeat of the earth. You feel yourself dissolving into the moment, a part of the unfolding story that stretches beyond time and space. The boundaries between self and world blur, leaving only the shared breath of existence. A soft wind stirs, carrying the scent of jasmine and salt, weaving through your hair and brushing against your skin like a lover's touch. It carries whispers of forgotten dreams and new hopes, threads of possibility spun from the fabric of night and dawn. You open your eyes to find the goddess standing before you, her smile serene and knowing a mirror of the peace that settles within. You reach out tentatively, fingertips brushing the cool air between you. The connection is electric yet tender, a bridge built from quiet understanding and shared wonder. In this moment, words fall away, replaced by a profound sense of belonging and grace. You realize that this invitation to dream is both a gift and a call, a chance to step into the realm of possibility with open heart and mind. The world around you breathes again, the hush lifting to reveal a soft chorus of life resuming its song. Birds take flight, their wings beating a gentle rhythm against the sky. Leaves flutter in the breeze, scattering light and shadow in a playful dance. The waves lap softly against the shore, each crest a whisper of the goddess's enduring presence. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the sweetness of the moment. The invitation to dream settles like a warm cloak around your shoulders, a comfort and a challenge rolled into one. You step forward, ready to follow where the journey leads, carrying the promise of this sacred stillness within. The goddess's gaze lingers on you, a silent blessing that echoes in your soul. You smile softly, heart open and free, ready to embrace the unfolding story that begins here in the hush, in the breath, in the dream. You feel the threads of an eternal story weaving around you, invisible yet palpable, binding gods and mortals in a tapestry that stretches across time and space. This promise of connection is both profound and intimate, a silent covenant forged in the moments when beauty and desire first took form. The goddess's breath lingers in the air, a living pulse that courses through every heart attuned to love's enduring call. The world around you hums softly, the subtle vibrations of myth and memory converging in a delicate dance. You sense the presence of countless lives, past and future, all touched by the goddess's arrival. Their hopes, dreams, and longing ripple through the fabric of existence, echoing in the rustle of leaves and the murmur of distant waves. You feel the weight and wonder of these connections, a network of stories intertwined like the roots of ancient trees. You close your eyes and imagine the myriad tales that will spring from this moment, whispers of forbidden love, acts of courage born from passion, heartbreaks that reshape destinies. Each narrative is a thread in the endless weave, a testament to the power of beauty to inspire, to challenge, and to transform. You feel the energy of these stories flowing through you, a living current that connects you to the goddess and all who revere her. Opening your eyes, you see the goddess standing before you, her form radiant and timeless. Her gaze holds the depth of oceans and the warmth of sunlight, a reflection of the endless cycles of longing and fulfillment. You sense her awareness of the promises she carries, the delicate balance between joy and sorrow, between creation and loss. Around you, the air shimmers with possibility, a soft glow that illuminates the path ahead. The world seems to pause in reverence, holding space for the stories yet to unfold. You feel a quiet strength rising within, a readiness to embrace the journey with open heart and steady breath. You take a step forward, the earth firm beneath your feet, and feel the pull of destiny guiding your path. The threads of myth and memory weave tighter, drawing you deeper into the story. You know that this is a beginning, a moment when the past and future converge in the present, a point where every choice carries the weight of countless lives. The goddess extends her hand, an invitation and a blessing. You reach out to meet it, your fingers brushing hers in a touch that carries the promise of connection and transformation. The energy between you sparks, a silent vow exchanged in the language of souls. You breathe deeply, filling yourself with the light and shadow of this eternal dance. The goddess's presence is a beacon, guiding you through the labyrinth of stories that weave through time and space. You step forward with courage and grace, ready to become part of the unfolding myth. The world around you sings softly, a lullaby of love and longing that echoes through the ages. You smile, heart open and full, knowing that this promise will carry you through the darkest nights and the brightest dawns. The story is eternal, and you are its witness and its keeper. The sun rises fully now, spilling warm light across the horizon and washing the world in hues of gold and amber. You stand once more on the shore, the sea stretching endlessly before you, a living mirror reflecting the vast expanse of sky and possibility. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of salt and blossoming flowers, a reminder that every ending is also a beginning. You feel the goddess's presence beside you, a steady and luminous force that anchors you in this moment. Her gaze sweeps the horizon, serene and filled with quiet promise. You sense that her story is far from complete like the rising sun. It unfolds in endless chapters, each one rich with beauty, longing, and transformation. The waves lap gently at your feet, their rhythm a soothing heartbeat that syncs with your own. You listen to their song, a timeless melody that has witnessed countless births and farewells. You realize that you are a part of this eternal flow, a thread woven into the fabric of myth and memory. Around you, the world awakens, birds take flight, their wings beating a gentle rhythm against the morning air. Flowers open their petals to the sun, revealing colors so vivid they seem to glow from within. The earth breathes beneath your feet, alive with the promise of growth and renewal. You close your eyes and breathe deeply, letting the serenity of this dawn fill you. There is a profound peace in this moment, a stillness that carries the weight of countless stories and the lightness of endless possibility. You feel held, cradled by the rhythm of waves and the warmth of sunlight, grounded yet free. As you open your eyes, you see the goddess smile that holds the mysteries of the sea and the sky, the joy of creation and the softness of grace. Her presence is a beacon, a guiding light that will carry you through the nights and days to come. You step forward, your footprints tracing a path along the shore, each step a promise to carry this story forward. The goddess's legacy is alive in every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of beauty and desire. You are part of that legacy, a guardian of its flame. The sun climbs higher, illuminating the world with a gentle radiance. The sea sparkles like 1,000 diamonds, and the sky stretches wide and open, inviting you to dream, to love, to live fully. You take a deep breath, embracing the endless journey that lies ahead. You smile softly, heart open and light, ready to step into the stories yet to be told. The dawn is new, the day full of promise, and the goddess's song carries you forward, a melody of beauty born from foam, a hymn to love eternal.